Hey, I've noticed the Purple Revolution stuff is hitting a bit of a snag, and I want to help. I think a lot of people on the left want accountability. I think a lot of people on the right want community. But neither of these does a movement make. It is with great pain in my heart I'm willing to go past the stage of apologies. I have been called a lot of nasty things for being a minority. I have lots of friends who have been called nasty things. We've been treated badly. I've been hate crimed for being a lesbian this year, and I've had friends who, between discrimination and essential services being cut, are no longer with us. No apology will bring them back or make that right. The whole stage of apologies and I told you so can be cathartic, but that's not solution oriented. And I recognize a lot of people on the left focus on politics as a moral identity thing a lot, and it's more about having the right opinions, and then it stops, which is why the left does not win a lot. Because what's the best case scenario there? We have people on the right say, yes, I'm the problem, I'm the bad guy, I'm evil, and then what? I know it's psychologically uncomfortable to just sit there being the problem. No one wants to do that, and that's a bad goal to put on somebody. I want the goal to be being part of the solution. I want to welcome anyone to join me in finding actual solutions, because I think we could actually do something here, do something real. Movements that work are not cathartic, they're strategic. That means they are goal-oriented. First wave feminism was about voting rights. That's very concrete, that's real. That was a hard and long fight. People organized that and got it. Second wave feminism was about job opportunities and financial independence. Women weren't allowed to have bank accounts, but those were concrete goals, and we won them. Third wave feminism was this more social media age, focused on microaggressions and talk and labels of words like feminism, and it didn't really have a thing it was going towards, and we have nothing to show for it. It spawned actually a lot of the anti-SJW movement and pushback, and has led to a downgrade in women's rights and freedoms and safety. Like, there's more misogyny around. That's bad. It didn't work. I know a lot of people on the right might be familiar with the Tea Party movement. Obviously, after the 2008 crash, people were mad at big business, big banks. The Tea Party movement involved dressing up as founding fathers a lot, wearing tri-corner hats, being very angry and in the streets. The whole Occupy Wall Street movement came kind of around that time too. They didn't amount to anything. There was anger, there wasn't a goal. The most successful, by far, push for equality has been the struggle of Black Americans, starting from literal slavery through the civil rights movement. And to this day, Black women in America are by far one of the most effective, active organizing blocks on anything. Listen, learn. They know what they're doing. And it makes sense that people who face discrimination for being women and being Black, the stakes are high and they're the most motivated to do something about it. Also, church communities, like small rural towns in the South, big church communities, very effective for organizing, building community, keeping people together, and then working with those communities to achieve goals. The highly effective boycott of Target, that is probably going to lead to the slow death of the massive corporation, was organized by churches, like Black churches in the South. Black women led that successfully. That is huge. That is a lot of real power. They had a clear goal, clear commitment, and they got it done. So when I hear talk of a purple revolution wanting unity against an elite class, I have some ideas. I want bipartisan, cultural-friendly appeal and aesthetics, so everyone kind of feels safe at home, can trust it a little bit more, especially linguistically and visually, morally. And the policies need to do better for working Americans, all Americans, like divest from concentrated power at the top. And I think a great example of this kind of leadership, of this kind of political thinking, is James Tallarico, who is currently running for Senate in Texas. Please look up James Tallarico if you haven't already. Texas is a famous, massive swing state, which is the kind of environment we're looking for. Can you be effectively bipartisan and win in a way that's going to benefit everybody? I'm in no way affiliated or paid by him. I just like what he's about. It's a clear vision for the future. If nothing else, I think that's a great example of someone who could lead by example and more people could follow. He knows what he's doing. He would just have the job and could start implementing some policies that help all Americans. He's talking about things like affordable health care for working class Americans, but he's using metaphors to do it, like Jesus flipping tables. I think showing the compatibility of these ideas is a wonderful and important thing at this moment. On the horizon, my eye is on Andy Beshear, a very similar candidate, a blue governor of a deep red state, Kentucky. He and his wife are deacons, and he is spending 80% of his time on issues that affect 100% of Americans. This is a bipartisan winning formula that helps you and me. As far as I see it, the old Democratic establishment is on its way out. They lost the natural selection battle. The Republican establishment in power right now is very corrupt and bought into a cult and different suspicious big money sources at the top. So I'm looking at this next generation of leaders who see the Democratic Party as an institution for free real estate, for new leaders to step up, but to do new things under that label. Especially any people running as a Democrat who are winning in historically purple or red states. This means their ideas are good enough, they're winning with everybody. If we're looking for effective, strong leaders, I'm looking at this like natural selection. Who is surviving and thriving in the most hostile, high-stakes, difficult environment? And we are seeing a few people doing that. The other factor I'm looking for, which makes it even harder for them to win, but they are anyway, are candidates who are not taking big PAC corporate money. This means they're winning elections on just grassroots donations from normal people like you and me, which means they're more popular among real people and working for us instead of being bought out by a big corporate interest. The biggest one of all here is AIPAC. A politician taking funding from AIPAC is putting support for Israel over the will of the American people. And it's pretty bipartisan at this point. We don't want our money going to fund Israel genociding Palestinians. I'm proud of the American people coming together on this one. It's a really bad, unethical use of money. So keep an eye on primaries in your area. If there's two big candidates, usually a more establishment-friendly candidate who's funded by big corporate PACs like AIPAC, and then there's more of an outsider progressive who's using a mainstream party label to do something new, that's the person I think you should support and keep an eye on. Read their policies, read their platform, look at what they're doing and why, because those are the policies that help ordinary people, because they're not the ones they're getting from big corporations. If you want to be as effectively anti-establishment as possible, that's the formula I'm following. In primaries, go for the grassroots candidate and not the AIPAC candidate. In general elections, because Republicans control everything right now, there is no check and balance on that establishment corruption, so I'm supporting Democrats. That way, the government can't do what it wants unless it gets everyone on board with it. Don't let power consolidate. So that's the simplest version of the plan I have. Support this new wave of leaders by the people and for the people, so the establishment loses its concentrated power and has to ask and depend on more people to work with them to get anything done. Support James Tallarico now. Use him as a leader, a model that's a real person you could just donate to today. I think that's a clear short-term goal. And pay attention to what governing is to him, why he believes what he believes, why he does what he does. And if you like what you see, consider supporting Andy Beshear in the Democratic primary in 2028. There's something special there. I think that could be the start of a president for everyone. Next, I'll be talking about some policies I want to see enacted, focusing on 3 values I think all Americans can get behind. 1, affordability. 2, anti-corruption measures. And 3, tolerance. I'm not so naive as to expect apologies from everyone, and it won't change the past. But I hope anyone, open invitation, regardless of how you identify, could help me in the solutions and the goals for a better tomorrow. Take care.